Hello. Now, most of you have already seen my video probably on how to make the perfect juicy ham. Now if you're smart enough to follow that, now we got how to turn that ham's leftovers into the perfect pot of pea soup. Now, first thing I did was get my big stainless pot. It's filled about halfway with water. Now, I have found food always comes out better if you get rid of the chlorine in the water you put into it. So I use one of those pure water filters. Does a great job, gets rid of all the chlorine taste and who knows what else. Now we have our ham hock left, a bunch of little trimmings, and I saved a few cuttings of the ham and the fat and juices. We're not going to really be using the fat and juices, but we're going to be using the cutting ham. But before I proceed any further, get that water boiling, nice roaring boil. It's always great to start with excess water, because this is going to be slow cooking over the course of I usually do 5-6 hours, and if I really have time, I do a 12-hour simmer once it's all in the pot. Get yourself a bag of sweet peas. I like frozen. Apparently, most people say to use split dried peas. I never have those laying around, so I never use them. Also, get yourself some already peeled baby carrots. You don't have to use already peeled or baby carrots, but it saves a lot of work. And some onions are nice. Don't need a lot of them, depending on the size pot you will be using, or how much you're going to be making will determine how many onions. And I haven't done too much cooking lately. I haven't had time, but grab some garlic. Use garlic to your own taste. I like garlic. Garlic is good. Garlic is great. So we're going to start like that. Now, I never quite make two pots the same, but I do add other seasonings depending on what I got left laying around at home. A little bit of parsley flakes, whatever I have. I usually try to throw in a little bit of whatever I got too much of that I don't use very often. Snake seasoning, a few shakes of that. Every little bit, each pot turns out different. Everything, make it according to taste. I got my pepper grinder, and there's a piece of plastic in there. Huh. Aren't I lucky I found that now? Alright, looks like I'll be emptying that out. So I have, in my pepper mill, I have peppercorns, I have sea salt chunks, and there's a whole bunch of other herbs and whatnot in there that it grinds up along with it. So right now, don't hesitate to take these out while your water's boiling. Take your peas out of the freezer. Let them start to thaw. As long as you're not leaving them up for like an hour or 2 hours, it's fine. Just until the water starts to boil. What's the point of dumping in frozen peas into boiling water? All that does is cool your water down, so at least let those warm up just a bit. And I will be back once we add the hock. I'm going to trim a little bit off the hock, some of the big chunks of fat. And I will be back once we're ready to do that. In the meantime, that water's going to slowly come to a boil. And see you in a minute. Alright, we got a nice boil. What I did was I already trimmed off. What you want to trim off the bone is little chunks of smaller pieces of bone, because eventually you're going to be blending up your pea soup. Now you want to get rid of the smaller chunks of bone, because those don't blend and you don't want someone accidentally swallowing one. This was actually a nice big hunk of meat that came off the bone. That's all meat. And here we got everything that's left on the hawk. Okay, come on, cooperate a bit. And we're just going to put that right in our pot of water. So what we got left over here. Here's a nice piece of meat. Another nice piece of meat. There we go. The rest is garbage. Not much left anyways. So, gonna let that go until it's back up to a good boil. And because I'm gonna go do some other things around the house, I'm gonna turn the temperature down a little bit. Cover it and turn that back down to number 6 from number 10. And once it's boiling, we'll add more ingredients. I'm probably gonna let it boil for a half hour before I add anything else. Alright, now that we have the ham hock at a boil for a while, time to add our peas and carrots. You know what, why did I just use the scissors? Still a little frozen, but what do you expect? At least we're not making this outside where it's -7 degrees right now. Oh, that sucked. Kitchen's too small. Just chalk those other two lost. Now at this point I do not recommend cutting them smaller than what your normal baby carrot will be. Now we're going to save the onion for a little and garlic for just a little while yet, and also the excess ham. Let's see. Stir things up just a bit. Doesn't that look tasty? Let's see. That. Bring the temp back down just a wee bit, and like this, we'll let it simmer. Well, once it gets to a simmer, it's a little too cool yet. I'll reduce the heat just enough to keep it simmering. You're going to want to stir it probably for every 20 to 30 minutes, and we'll let it simmer for about 2 hours. Well, it's been simmering for about, let's see, my power flashed out, so all my clocks in my kitchen are not showing anything except the incorrect times. I think it's been about ooh, 3.5, 4 hours it's been simmering. So now I'm going to add a single chopped up onion, and I did half a clove of garlic. Doesn't have to be chopped up real fine. Our blender is going to do that once the majority of our pea soup is done. It's smelling really, really good. Let's see what we got here. Well, I suppose we can start putting in some extra ham now. This is all good cuts left over from Christmas a few days ago. Maybe I should have microwaved this. So we got a few more swimming around in that fat. I think all that's left is nice and fatty, and of course the juice. Too bad I couldn't save that juice by not canning it. Oh, that would make really help another hand get just a perfection. And I am tired. It's about midnight. Turn that on high for a minute. Get her bubbling again. I want to take a look at the ham hock. A lot of the nice loose meat has fallen right off the bone. Still working on it, but all that nice tasty flavor is just coming off right into our soup. Oh man, I'm gonna be dreaming about this tonight. Just smell it. Let's see. Let's turn it down to just enough to simmer. I should do it right there. Cover. This. And that's it. We'll check on her again in another, well, I'll start in a half hour. It's getting a little late to do video updates tonight, so probably tomorrow morning I will give you guys an update. And yes, I do check it throughout the night. And here we go. See you next update. Now it's simmered overnight, so I had about 12 hours into this at a very low temperature, just enough to make her bubble a little bit. Now we want to remove the bones, and then we're going to put the soup in a blender. And there's going to be a lot of little pieces of bone that have come off as well. So I've got to get out, try and get as much of that out as you can. You don't want someone going and swallowing that. Alright, so now we're going to start blending up our pea soup. Get that just really low. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a scoop or two at a time from here. Put it in our blender. And what is it? We're just going to, I don't know, chop or what is it, puree? Just get it all nice and frothy, blends it all together real nice. And then as we're done with this, as we blend it, we're going to start putting it in the smaller pot. Now, at the moment, it's still rather liquidy. So what we're going to do is after we blend it, it's going to go in here and we're going to simmer it down and thicken it up. Now, the reason why I like having a lot of extra water during the whole main boiling and cooking process, that way it doesn't get too thick and too hard to blend, and you lose a lot of the flavor if you and it can even burn if you have it too thick during the main boiling process. So what we do is just take your soup ladle and start adding it to your blender. And make sure you're watching what's going into the blender very carefully, so in case any of those extra little bones that came off the big ham hock, if you see any, that way you can pull them out right away. That's all good meat. And just go ahead and blend up all the meat right with it. Got a bone, missed one. That's all good. Alright, that was about good enough in there. Add some juice. Add a little juice into there. That's it. That was the first one. Now, chances are, on the smaller pot, I'm going to finish it off in the smaller pot. Chances are you're going to fill it up. That's okay. Even if you have leftover in your big pot, you don't have to do everything in your big pot quite yet. So continue, and then as you boil down the smaller pot, you can keep adding a little bit from the big pot. Blend it up. Once you get it down to a thick consistency, let sit for about a half hour with the heat off, and serve. Serve and enjoy. There you have it. Delicious pea soup. And don't forget, season according to taste. If you like a little more pepper, add a little bit while the final stages are simmering. And I hope everybody enjoys my little recipe for tasty, delicious pea soup.